There's just nothing like being fully in your purpose and creating an impact. The mindset of somebody when they start a business and doing it all themselves is so different from thinking through the lens of who, not how. Who do I need to bring on to offload as much as possible for me to do this? You have to force yourself to think that way and become the CEO who offloads as much as possible. And then it becomes normal. The 7-8-figure business owners, CEOs are going, who can do this? Not how can I do this?
Embodied CEOs don't chase trends. They pave the way. They lead from within, moved by purpose, unshaken by noise. When you are the source, you do not need permission.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. When this comes out, it will be August, and we will be on our almost month-long trip, our family adventure. Living in Texas, we make an excuse, or it is an excuse, to get out of the state during the summer and get out of the heat. And so every year we've planned trips, or I've planned the trips, happily. And I feel like each year I just kind of raise the bar a little bit more. So we're going on a pretty cool adventure this year, and I'm super excited. Usually we go to the mountains somewhere in central US, but we're doing central and west coast, and it'll be a really great time. I've been definitely going hard the last several weeks in terms of business and just things that I've had going on between our live event, which I just came off of mastermind meeting that I attended that I'm a part of. I'm hosting our free challenge that we do. So I'm looking forward to working less for a bit and spending some good time with my kids, and just so grateful for the life of my dreams, because traveling like this is for sure well beyond where I ever thought I would be in life. Anyways, so I'm just coming off my live event. We just had Embodied Marketing Live. It was incredible. I like it. Just every time it just gets better. Every time I'm reminded how much I love in person. And there's just nothing like being fully in your purpose and creating an impact. It goes so far beyond, like, I would do that event for free, literally. I would break even and like just cover the cost of the event happily, because the impact, the connection, the community, like the amount of messages I have from people who attended that event, the January event, that are like, I'll never be the same. You changed my life. And it's not about me, it's this is why I do what I do. This is why I work so hard myself. This is why I do things like go to Dispenza and challenge myself and have coaches and mentors and constantly put myself in rooms where my perspective is changed, so that I can take that work and I can integrate it and I can create these experiences for others in my own way. And so this event, I brought in a lot more kind of Dispenza stuff, and it was definitely cool to see the up level. Dispenza is very focused on who you're becoming, right? His work is a lot about like become that future version of yourself and create your reality. And I've always believed that and had that in my work, but I integrated that into what we have done and taught some new material around that integrates that. And it was just so incredible. So I'm beyond grateful. And we did launch the next event will be in January 15 to 17. The page is live. We updated the dates. So if you are thinking about coming, it's embodiedmarketing.com/live, and it's January 15 to 17th in Austin. Today I want to talk about something that has been on my mind. And it's been on my mind since I went to the mastermind retreat that I attended with other very successful business owners. And it was just like this really important reminder for me when I was there. And I think for a lot of you listening, this is a very important reminder and or something that's going to be like a wake-up call. This is probably one of the biggest reasons that I think people are not successful in business, and one of the biggest things that holds people back, if not the biggest. And I knew this, of course, and haven't talked about it in a long time. And it was when I was in that room where I realized the difference of the conversation of 7- and 8-figure business owners compared to ones who don't have that perspective and are maybe just starting or making six figures. And that is the emphasis on who, not how. There's a book titled that, and essentially it's when you have something you want to get done in your business, a new project, a new initiative, or just the day-to-day of your business. The mindset of looking at it from the lens of, how am I going to do this? How do I make this happen? Or who can I get to support me in doing this? And, I know this. I started building my team 8 years ago, and I think that I do a really pretty good job at delegating. And where that comes from is I'm truly ruthless with my time and energy. Like I'll just ignore things that are not priority for days. And I mean, I'm seeing that this week. I'm in a full season because I just came out of live event and we're doing a live challenge. So there's a lot of things that people ask me questions, even on my team. And I'm like, I understand that's something you want to check off your list and you need to ask me that question, but it's not top priority. And so I'll get back to you when it is. And I just basically intentionally ignore it until I can put my time and energy in that. And I'm able to do that because I have a team, right? Getting done the day-to-day, delivering for clients, handling things when they come up. And that allows me to be in the most strategic, the most intentional, and the most impactful time and energy in my business. And so I know this, but I was reminded how much of a trait this is for success. So when I was at this event last week, and you look at the conversation of all of these highly successful business owners, like some doing $30 million a year, their entire conversation pretty much is either around ideas and innovation that they're going to bring in their company. And then when they have the clarity on that, it's, who do I need? Who do I need to pay? Who do I need to bring in to support me? What kind of a person? How do I find them? Who, not how. It's never, okay, that's overwhelming. I have to figure out how to fit that in my schedule and, do this. And then therefore it's going to delay for weeks and months. And when I reflect and think about entrepreneurs that I see from beginning to even multiple six figures, and the one thing that I think holds them back so much is the fear of offloading things to get support. Both the fear in investing in that and the fear in letting things go and letting somebody else support in running and even growing the business. And I think this is the biggest, if not like the single biggest reason that people don't grow. So I was thinking about this today as I was driving and preparing to do this podcast. I was driving over to my studio and I was thinking about okay, well, what would I tell somebody whose answer back to me is, but I don't have the money to invest. I don't have the money to hire the team member. And there's a few things that I would say to that. First, I think in the beginning of your business, your priority is literally, how do I make some money as quickly as possible and as easy as possible that I can then reinvest back in my business? So what that could look like is you're doing a service for someone while you're building, your coaching product, or you're consulting, or you're DMing and hustling to make sales, but you don't have the big marketing strategy yet. So what I teach in my launch platform, which is for people to make their first $5,000, it is to literally have a bunch of conversations, connecting conversations, not cold DM outreach of, hey, buy my thing, but connecting conversations that could lead to those sales. So doing that, and then as soon as you get the sales, investing that in support. Because if you don't, you stay in this place, this cycle of never able to get any farther and continue with momentum. And then the other thing is, if you don't create a path to make your sales in as simple and easy of a way as possible, then you're also constantly so overwhelmed and so maxed out that you're not making progress, that you are not seeing results. So in the beginning, the first thing I would say is figure out what your path is, meaning one core offer, one easy, simple sales page. You don't even need the whole funnel yet. That's what I teach in launch. You don't need the lead gen and all those steps in a webinar to make your first $5,000. You don't. You can have the strategic conversations. Simplest path to creating those initial sales. And you're going to have to leverage the resource of time in order to do that. And so if you know you have to leverage the resource of time, then you look at it and say, okay, what's the most strategic way for me to spend my time? It's probably not posting 7 times a week and trying to build a funnel and be a tech VA and be a copywriter and be a designer and all of the things on top of running a business. What's the simplest, fastest way to making your initial sales? And then when you make those sales, investing them back into your business in the form of help and marketing. And if you're beyond that, if you're beyond your first $5,000 and you're making some sales every month, maybe it's not big, maybe it's $10,000, maybe you're making 6 figures, then I can guarantee you that unless you are actively trying to offload as much as you can in your business and the things that you don't need to be doing, it's holding you back, not having that support. And I see this so much because the mindset of somebody when they start a business and doing it all themselves and the solopreneur operating system that you have to have when it's me, myself, and I is so different from thinking through the lens of who, not how. You have to force yourself to think that way and become the CEO who offloads as much as possible. And then it becomes normal. But at first it's uncomfortable. And of course there is the fear of like, can I afford this? But I am telling you, if you are making money and you are still in the weeds of your business, imagine where your business would be if you were able to be strategic, if you had the space to think, if you could be creative, if you could be doing highest leverage things like creating content, building webinars, coming up with new offers, whatever. If you could spend all your time on that and you had everything else running, or even just like a piece, right? Maybe you can't afford to have everything being run by a team yet. But again, it's that thought of not how can I create more time and energy for me to do this? Who do I need to bring on to offload as much as possible for me to do this? And I truly think that one of the biggest contributing factors to success is the speed at which a CEO and a founder can offload day to day and even anything off their plate. I even look at myself now and go like, there's things that I do today that if we're going to scale to 10 million, when we scale to 10 million, we will have to get off my plate and we will have to have support. I'm going to have more of like an in-person assistant support soon. And there's things that to free up not just time, but energy and capacity, mental capacity. And so when I think about the people in the room of my mastermind that I was in a few weeks ago, that's their whole, like, that's the way they look at it. That's the lens that they look at, is like speed. I need to implement these things quickly. I want to grow my business quickly. I have big dreams. I have big goals. And so who do I need in place in order to make that happen? It is never let me scrounge and try to figure this out myself and do this myself. So I said the first thing I would say is that, like, what's the fastest path to you making money as simple and easy as possible so that you can reinvest that money back in your business? And then the second thing that I'll add to that in the beginning is for you to look at your business as an investment. And where can you be investing time, energy, and money for it to grow? And how would you show up? Like, what is the thoughts and the language and the things you would be telling yourself in order to invest as that future CEO, both time, energy, and money? Because if you are constantly thinking, I don't have enough time to do this, I can't grow my business, like I'm already maxed out, I'm already burnt out, I can't do this, I don't have any money to invest in help, maybe one day I will, that's just going to keep being your reality. But if you start and say, okay, well, let's just play for a minute. Let's just pretend that I'm making $10,000 a month. Let's just pretend that money is not, a fear that I have, and I was making $10,000 a month. How would I show up? What would those thoughts be, and what would those decisions be? Because let me tell you this. Here's what happens. You live in the mind of the entrepreneur who's just starting out,
and you have those thoughts. And then maybe you hustle and you work and you're able to make some money and you increase that revenue and you're making the money. You're making the $6, $7, $8, $9, $10,000 a month, but who you are hasn't changed. So now we have an entrepreneur making $10,000 a month, but operating like they're making $1,000. And I had a client, actually I'll say Mallory, because she talked about this, but we were in Alaska, the first retreat that I hosted, and she was there, and we were on a walk, we were on a hike. And her conversation was very much like how she was so overloaded and she's so stressed and she can't take on more in her business and she's burnt out. And, she doesn't see how she's going to get to the next level. And I asked her, I said, is your team, she had a few team members, I said, is your team super stressed out? And she's like, no, they're actually like asking me for more work. And I was like, okay, so why aren't you giving them more work? And she was like, I didn't even really like ask myself that question. I didn't think about that. I was operating based on like what I'd been doing and I'd gotten help for this. And then like these things were my job. And so even today, as I work with her in my mastermind, we look at and we literally take inventory of how she's spending her time. And anywhere that somebody else can do it, we're looking at how to bring that in, how to create a system, how to get her the support. And sometimes it's been hiring, an additional team member. Sometimes it's just been shifting and increasing what a team member she already has is doing, or changing the expectation. It's the thought. It's the way that she looks at it that has changed, in the sense of who can do this? How quickly can I offload this? And how do I constantly free up my time, energy, and money? And when you operate that way, your business will grow so fast, because one of the contributing factors to business growth is speed at which you can execute different things, speed at which you can execute a marketing campaign, a marketing strategy, speed at which you can execute a live launch, a new product launch, product improvement. Like, we're living in a time of massive speed. I have a team of 18 and incredible support, and I still feel like I can't move fast enough with the things I want to do related to AI that are requiring me to be the visionary in the company. And so anything literally that I can do right now to get myself support to free up time so it can go into that, I'm doing. Who can we hire? What's the support? And how do we support that growth? And it's usually investing a little bit more than you're comfortable with. So my challenge to you guys today is to take inventory of this, because we don't know what we don't know. And if we've been operating kind of the same way for a long time, you may have not challenged how you're spending your time. And I think that we also build in our heads that it's harder than it really is to get the support. And there's a lot of fear. Like, what if someone lets me down? What if I can't keep paying them? What if I can't really afford this? Like, those things are normal. And you've got to trust that you'll know how to make the decisions when the time comes, and people are going to let you down. Like, when you hire a team and you bring in support, which is, again, I believe essential to grow your business, when you do that, people are going to let you down. Like, you're going to have shitty things happen, because people can be shitty. You're also going to have incredible things happen. Like, I think about my team. I mean, I just had some of them on the podcast, and those episodes, some will have come out. I couldn't do what I do without my team. So it's contrast. You're going to have bad experiences. You're going to have incredible experiences. It's still worth it. It's always worth it. So look at how you're spending your day, how you're spending your time, how you're spending your energy, and ask if you could offload more. What would happen if you were willing to invest just a little bit more in getting support and hanging on less to all of the things in your business? I also think that entrepreneurs hang on too long and too tight onto things because of perfection. And the reality is, when you do it right, when you hire a team, you can get people who can do it better than you. And on the things that they can't do better than you, your job is to set the standard and to create trust. And like, that's really my secret formula. I have very high standards. I communicate those standards, and I hire incredible people. And I've learned a ton, obviously, made a ton of mistakes, learned a ton, but we've got quite a hiring process, and we test people. I hire based off of values. There's a lot that goes into it. And I don't say that by like it needs to scare you. I think the
best advice I have is decide the type of person that you want. What are their values? What are their personality? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Like, if you could describe them like an ideal customer, what would that be? We do that for each of our roles. And if you can do that and you get clear on that, like, there's some incredible people out there. And imagine if you had that support. And that's how big, successful CEOs are operating. It's how can I surround myself with an incredible team faster and offload more and more and more so we can move, so we can build, so we can create the impact we're here to create. Business is not meant to be all on you. It's really not. And I know that's sometimes some people's goals, and that's fine if it's not coming from a place of fear. I know people who are like, I never want to build a team because I had a bad experience building a team, or I don't want to have a big team. It's fine. But it is possible to have an incredible team and an incredible experience building a team. I mean, yes, like I said, you're going to sign up for the hard of it too. You're going to sign up for the downsides, which there's constantly something that I'm dealing with as it relates to people. But I could not have the business and the life that I have today without support, and the priority of how quickly can I get support? How quickly can I offload more to grow my business? Or when there's something new that I want to create and bring into reality, I'm instantly looking for support. If I use the AI, the platform I built that I talked about on here a month ago, I built that in 6 days myself, right? That was something that I did. I needed to learn it, to like create the standard, to set the vision for it. Immediately after, the next week, I hired somebody, high level, expensive, to help me with the AI components, and he's still helping me right now. I haven't gone into launch. I've been just dictating the edits to the program, to the platform. I'm setting the vision for the next things we build, and he's doing all the AI. So as soon as I could, I offloaded and got support. So sit with today and challenge your time, challenge your energy, challenge where it's going, and challenge if you could invest more in support, if you could offload more, if you could let more go to the right people and be willing to find the right people and invest in that support. Because when I look at the business owners who are stuck and it's like I talk to them and they're the same place in 6 months, it's because they're trying to do it all themselves. They're trying to be the copywriter, the tech VA, the admin assistant, the ads manager, everything in their business, and they're not doing it well. They don't have enough time. They feel like they're failing, and they're moving so slow because it's literally impossible to do all those things yourself. And that's also why I see people quit their business, is they're like, I don't want to do this anymore. It doesn't have to be that way. The 7-8 figure business owners, CEOs, are going, who can do this? Not how can I do this? So question that mentality today and remember how powerful that can be. All right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this got you thinking a little bit, and I appreciate you. I'll talk to you next time.